So this is the iPhone 15 and it launched about 9 months ago, and we're going to cover if you should still buy this after the recent announcements to iOS 18 and the lack of Apple Intelligence coming to the base model 15. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. By the end of this content, this video, you're going to know my take on this whole iPhone 15 not getting the Apple Intelligence, if it's still worth buying at this point, or if you should wait it out to the iPhone 16. Let's talk about the price to the value ratio. Now, the price to the value ratio before was actually pretty solid. You were getting basically an iPhone 14 Pro, Dynamic Island, OLED display here, not 120 hertz, but a really nice camera system, pretty similar to 14 Pro, nice build, smooth edges, loving the whole design. But that price to value ratio was always kind of like, there was always like a little bit less value, I think, to be had just due to 60 hertz continuing on this base model, just at that higher price. A lot of phones would give you 120 hertz, but it has come down even more now that we know we're not getting the AI for this phone. And the reason that's a problem to me is because this phone just came out and there's several years of support left on base software, but we're not going to get the latest AI features, which is really what is interesting about the current state of affairs when it comes to smartphones. So the value proposition is kind of going down now for me personally. This is just my take on the regular 15s. Now, if you don't care about AI and stuff like that, then the value is about the same as it was before. I also want to state that if you still want to use AI, you can do this on pretty much any iPhone. It's going to run better on certain ones. You can download the ChatGPT, which is going to be integrated within Apple Intelligence. You can also download Copilot right here. Not that. Let's go to Copilot here. You can download Copilot. You can also just type in AI apps, and there's going to be tons of them that will appear. So there's a lot of AI stuff you can download. And there's already some AI type things that, already happens on iPhone, but like the new Apple Intelligence that's going to go on in the background, be on the system to compete with things like the Galaxy AI, the Google Gemini and stuff like that. This one is not going to be getting it, but maybe Gemini will come to the Apple platform in the future. We'll have to see, and maybe all iPhones could get that. Now, should you buy this thing after iOS 18 when it comes to the body, the build, design, stuff like that? Well, the thing is that the newer phones are going to get iOS 18 as well. And I think because of Apple's obsession with thinness, with these iPads, maybe we're going to see even thinner iPhones, also a little bit bigger. So if you want to run the iOS 18 on a larger, thinner iPhone, that's likely what we'll see with the iPhone 16, if that's something you're considering to upgrade to. So body and build, though, still a very sleek device. I don't think really having no Apple Intelligence affects the hardware at all. The hardware is still beautiful on the iPhone 15, so I could still recommend it there. It's really just that software that you got to be okay with if you're going to be buying this right now. We're on iOS 18 beta 2 as of this video as well. So display. Now, with the iOS 18, the iPhone 15 is actually a great choice because they have a lot of these dark icons, tinted icons, and having the OLED display, they look even better on here just due to the better saturation, especially when you start tinting the icons and stuff like that. A lot more punchy. Also, the deeper blacks, especially in the dark mode, is going to look even better on an iPhone 15, 15 Pro, Pro Max, any of the 15 models. They're all beautifully saturated. They're not like Samsung super vivid saturated. I'm talking previous Samsung, not this year's Samsung, but they're still pretty darn saturated. Overall, the display is plenty sharp, and it's going to look great on the latest upcoming 18. So display wise, if you wanted to pick up a 15 now, it's probably good. But if you want to go to a 6.3 inch or a larger screen size, I would probably just wait out these 3 months for the 16. So should you buy this now? It's almost 9 months later in performance, and the honest answer is I've had no real issues or concerns with performance. It's been very, very good here on the iPhone 15. In fact, I've done this experiment where I've switched over to my 15 from my 15 Pro, Pro Max, and what I found is that the iPhone 15 you kind of tend to forget that it's a 60 hertz after using it for a few days, and then it just flies along beautifully. So this is one of the best performing 60 hertz type phones on the market. It's really smooth, fast performance. And one of the things that really boggles my mind is why we didn't get Apple Intelligence when we have an A16 Bionic clocked in at 3.5 gigahertz. Now I've heard it's about the RAM issue, but I still feel like they could have made it like maybe a few less features, but still maybe a little bit lighter weight, maybe like a little bit less strong than all the features coming to the Pro models. Give us some type of AI. I feel like it would have did fine. I mean, some of the slower Pixel devices are able to run this, and I know they have built-on AI stuff on the chip, but those chips in general definitely don't out benchmark the iPhone 15. They don't tend to outperform it generally, although they do have architecture for AI built right on the chip. It's still like, I just feel like this phone would have ran it okay. Maybe the older iPhones I could understand, but I feel like the 15, the 15 Plus, the whole 15 series, I think should have been able to run some type of the Apple Intelligence, but it's only going to be for the 15 Pro and Pro Max. But if you're considering buying this in terms of performance, straight up just speed, yeah, I have no issues recommending this. Even after the iPhone 16 comes out, this is not going to get slow, nothing like that. Now, when it comes to the RAM, we talked about performance. I do want to say that I think this is not a great investment long term, maybe 2-3 years. Buying this right now with the 6 gigs of RAM, I just feel like, yeah, they're going to keep some of the stuff off to not slow it down. I just like 8 gigs of RAM or more on iPhones now. I think it's time. It's time to start putting your money into an 8 gig of RAM minimum if you want to keep your phone an extended period of time. So this is not the best choice if you want a 5-year iPhone. I would go with a Pro or just wait till we see what comes with these 16s, but I'm guessing they're going to go to 8 gigs of RAM on the base models and 12 gigs on the top end models of the iPhone 16. That's what I think is going to happen, and likely probably will happen. So overall, though, this is not the best choice, I would say, in terms of the RAM management, but it can handle most of what we do today. I just think in the future, that's going to be something that chokes this up. Just kind of like how the older iPhones, like 1-2 gig of RAM iPhones, those kind of can't perform as great these days anymore. So for the iPhone 15, should you buy this now in terms of the camera after iOS 18? Now, there wasn't really any major upgrades to the camera department. It doesn't even look that much different. Generally, there's not a whole lot different here. So yeah, if you want a great camera phone, this is an area I say go for it. It's still very good. And every year, it gets better. But how much pictures are you taking? Like, how many videos are you taking? Like, are you professional? Because these upgrades are probably not going to be that important to you unless like you are a pro photographer. Because even for me, someone who uses a lot of cameras, the only cameras I can really tell a major difference from is when I use my real camera, because iPhone to iPhone, they all seem pretty darn good. And you got to pixel peep. You got to really peek closely to see the differences, especially these year-over-year upgrades like iPhone 14 to 15, 15 to 16. We get some major leaps when you go from like a 3-year upgrade, like maybe like an 11 to a 15 or a 12 to a 16, something like that. But yeah, if you want to get it for the camera, should you buy it now? Sure, it's not going to be a problem. If you want to wait a little while, you're probably going to get even better performance on the 16, as every year, of course, is going to upgrade. When it comes to the battery life, it's looking pretty good for the iPhone 15. On iOS 18 Beta 2, I've been seeing a little bit better battery life than before, and I know they're going to clean this up over time. So definitely, if you want to get better battery life, you'll probably also want to wait for 16s. Those are going to get bigger screens, which likely means more space in the body for a larger battery. But we never know with Apple, because sometimes they improve the chip and make the battery smaller, saying that the chip will equal the same performance. So that's not a guarantee, what I'm saying. So don't take that as like it's going to happen for sure. But there is a chance going to a larger phone, we see slightly better battery life or longer battery life. And the iPhone 15 is not really a problem, though. This is one of the longer lasting iPhones I've seen in a while for the base models. Also, the 15 Plus, if you really want to extend that battery life, that's a great choice as well. I also like the low power mode on here. It doesn't really switch between 120 hertz and 60 hertz because you only have a 60 hertz to begin with on this phone. So yeah, the low power mode is really useful on the base model, and you could extend that battery life even further. So if you wanted to buy this phone now and you're concerned about battery life, don't be. It's going to be solid even when the official iOS 18 launches. Now, storage wise, you start at 128 gigs here. One thing I'm noticing as I'm doing my updates is that, man, once you start putting some apps, some photos, the storage really gets eaten up. So I personally think 256 gig is a sweet spot for someone who wants to keep this extended period. Short term, 128 can do fine, but if you plan to store a lot or you don't want to offload things, you're not using a ton of cloud data, you have a lot of applications on board, man, you probably should go with 256. I'm being totally real with you. But storage wise, it should be fine here. Also, I don't think we're going to see major upgrades to the storage offerings on the base 16s. Maybe we'll go 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes on the Pro. We'll have to see, but the storage options are probably going to stay quite similar on the base model. So you're probably okay with going with a 15 now in the area of storage. So one of the things I've been concerned with is, should you buy this after the announcement that the base models won't get intelligence in terms of resale value? Is this going to affect the resale? I think it will. I don't think by a ton. I think like Apple, when you do a trade-in or you do a trade-in to another company, I don't think it's going to affect the resale too much on that. But if you try to sell this yourself, you're probably going to take a little bit of a hit, especially for the people who are knowledgeable about this. I'd say a small hit, maybe $50 or something like that on the total resale. But definitely this phone right here, you're going to probably take a hit on the resale post iOS 18 official release. Of course, because the new phone's out, but also because it doesn't support the latest features. It's going to make it harder to sell down the line in the future, I feel like. Should you buy in terms of the colors? Well, if you like more muted colors, more pastel, more lighter color tones, yeah, the 15 is one of the best. If you like something vibrant, no, you're not going to like the 15s at all because they're not vibrant colors. They're more of toned down, more lighter colors. They remind me of like those summer colors or spring colors that you would, wear in your outfits and stuff that are like lighter toned down for the heat and stuff like that. It's kind of how I feel about the iPhone 15s. They're not super zingy and vibrant, trying to pull you in with their strong colors like the iPhone XR had, but they're decent. I would probably wait if you were looking to see some new color options though for the 16. When it comes to the audio performance on here, I've actually been pleasantly surprised that even the base model sounds really good. The 15 Plus coming out 2 different speakers. It sounded pretty darn good, and it sounds at a flagship level near there. Of course, the Pro sounds a little bit better over here, as does the Pro Max, but it's pretty darn good here. I would definitely recommend an iPhone 15 in the area of performance. However, there's no headphone jack. Obviously, you know that about iPhones at this point. AirPods Pro, I find, or AirPods in general, are the best option for the iPhones with the audio experience. Other headphones like Beats as well are similarly as great as AirPods Pro, but when you start connecting other things, it becomes a little bit of a slower and less efficient experience with the audio. The phone call quality here has been pretty solid. Also, very fast Wi-Fi 5G performance has been good over my 9 months of using this, and I definitely recommend it as a phone. It's solid there as well. I still find my Samsung can do a little bit better in the basement and like under like parking garages. For some reason I get slightly better, something like 1 bar or more, but the iPhone is better than it used to be by far. So still very good here in the area of connectivity, phone call, things like that. No major issues. So I wanted to give this update 9 months later based on I've been thinking about this post the WWDC. Like, it's kind of irritated me. Like, I paid full price for this and the 15 Plus. I thought I was going to have this phone super up to date with the AI and everything. And then iOS 18 comes and my phones aren't getting AI. I'm actually even considering selling my 15 and 15 Plus for the 16 and 16 Plus because I don't know. I feel like they might not be as popular just due to this. And personally, that just kind of irritates me. Like, I just bought these 9 months ago, bro. So yeah, that's my personal take. But should you buy it? I think if you're okay with and you don't really care about the Apple Intelligence, absolutely, it's fine. iOS 18, iOS 19, the software is still going to keep coming. That's not going to be a problem. You just might not get none of those AI features unless Apple reverses their decision and brings something lighter weight to a future iOS version. We'll see. But yeah, that's my take on the iPhone 15 9 months later. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to see any other more long-term updates on some of my other devices, let me know down below in the comments. I will consider making those or some comparisons you need to see. You're still in the market for a certain phone, you need a comparison, let me know down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.